The Human Development Index, or HDI, measures a nation's overall progress. But to truly understand the development, we must look at who benefits from that progress. The UN uses specific tools to measure gender inequality because around the world, development often excludes women and girls. The UN uses two main indicators to measure the gender gap: the Gender Related Development Index, or GDI, and the Gender Inequality Index, or the GII. The Gender Related Development Index is essentially the HDI adjusted for inequality between men and women. It measures the differences in the same three core areas of health, education, and income, but calculated separately for males and females. The closer the country's GDI is to its overall HDI, the smaller the gender gap in basic human development. It directly shows the development cost when women and men do not share access equitably. The Gender Inequality Index is the UN's primary measure of a country's loss in development due to gender inequality. It focuses on three critical areas of empowerment and well being: reproductive health, empowerment, and the labor market. A high GII score closer to 1 on a scale of 0 to 1 means greater inequality. Reproductive health is measured by two indicators that reflect the health and safety of women. First is the maternal mortality rate. This is the number of women who die during or shortly after childbirth per 100,000 live births. A low rate indicates excellent health care access and high quality medical professionals. Adolescent fertility rate is the number of births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 19. High rates indicate limited educational and economic opportunities, poor access to healthcare, and a general lack of an empowerment for young women. The second is empowerment. This refers to the ability of women to achieve economic and political power. The GII measures this using two areas. First, parliamentary representation. This is the percent of seats in the national legislature held by women. High representation means women have stronger voice in creating laws and policies that shape a country. For example, countries like Rwanda or Iceland often rank highly here. Next is the secondary school completion. This measures the percentage of adult women who have completed at least secondary education compared to men. Education is perhaps the most critical factor for empowerment, and it is directly translating into better jobs, better health, and greater control for one's life. The third one is related to the labor market. Finally, the GII looks at economic participation of women in the labor force, and they use the female labor force participation rate. This measures the percentage of women age 15 and older who are either working or actively looking for a job. A higher rate indicates a country's economy utilizes the full potential of its female population. For instance, the United States might score well on education, but its score is often lowered by lower parliamentary representation compared to other developed nations and persistent wage gaps in the labor force. Conversely, in many developed nations, the GII is lowered by extremely high adolescent fertility rates and low secondary school completion rates for girls. By adjusting for gender, the GII shows that development varies not just between countries, but between men and women within the same country. When women face barriers, the entire nation loses out on human potential, which ultimately holds back development for everyone.